Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. So, this is probably going to be a shorter video. Um, my son's taking a nap right now, so I get a little bit of extra free time to do a video with you guys. So, I was thinking about the topic that I wanted to cover for this one, and I've been working on notes for my book. And one of the subjects in the book that's going to take a lot of information to cover, and I'm skimming through multiple books to get the notes. You can see there's a couple. I did have like 20 different bookmarkers in this, but The Secret Teachings of All Ages has a lot of information on it, is Hiram Abiff, who was the architect of King Solomon's Temple in Christian or Masonic lore. Very interesting subject. So if we have time, if he doesn't wake up, we might be able to get into some of that. But I also just wanted to chat with you guys because I know sometimes you like that when we just have a talk. So we'll see if I feel like getting into the Hiram notes today. If not, we'll probably do that some other time. I'm not finished with them yet, but there's like 10 pages of notes already. And I'm probably only about halfway done with the notes on that, and that's just one of the topics in the book. So I'm going through all these source materials and pulling from going to the back where the indexes are and finding the subject that I'm looking for, and then it'll tell me right where it's at. So I love when books have indexes. The Secret Teachings of All Ages has an index, and Morals and Dogma, depending on which copy you get, has an index as well. The red hardback covers do. So, what should we talk about? Mindfulness. Knowing that our energy is always our thoughts, particularly our thoughts, I think. Our thoughts, words, and actions affect our reality around us, but if we're constantly thinking thoughts which are not in unity, with our goal, they don't align with our goals, then the energy is going to get dispersed and move in other directions other than what we would like. That's something that I've been guilty of a lot. Even just these past couple years, I feel like I've kind of, in a way, become less disciplined. Yet, I am more aware now than I even was a couple years ago. I feel like I went through a big awakening, and then I was just elevated so high, and then you have to end up grounding yourself again. You have to come back down to earth. Because like they say, before enlightenment, the monk carried water up the mountain, and after enlightenment, the monk carried water up the mountain. The great work is still to be done. The work never ends. So it says in the Taoist tradition. There's a really good version of the Tao Te Ching on YouTube. I think it's Wayne Dyer. I think that's the right name. That one's really good. You play that like at the beginning of the day, and I guarantee that's going to help you have a more positive day. Same with the I am statements. Saint Germain, the I am discourses. Those are great tools for keeping your mind in check. I'm one of those people, I don't know if it's just my Scorpio disposition, but I can just send myself into like a negative spiral of negative thoughts and emotions, and then it just totally will basically kill any like desire I have or motivation to do anything when I get upset like that. I feel like I'm a pretty reasonable individual, but I just think differently than a lot of people, and I've noticed that now more than ever, especially being a hermit. And I grew up in a way that allowed me to have a lot more time to think about things. I've had a lot of time to sit and think and ponder about existence and the world and reality, and I don't think a lot of people ever get that time to do that. They're kind of always just frantic and running about and not really thinking, not really planning. I mean, you can plan to just make um, more things, but are those things really going to build you as a person? Is it really going to help you on your path of the direction that you're trying to go? So these are all things we should think about. We should all practice mindfulness. Practice mindfulness. Not let our emotions get the better of us. A lot of the times I'll play, like a negative thing in my mind, but it's like a worse case scenario than what it really even was. You end up just kind of making up this thing in your mind, and it ends up trying to destroy you. The dark side's pretty tempting. I consider myself more middle of the spectrum. I've said that a lot before. More gray. There's a lot of darker aspects I align with, or that I'm just drawn to, or resonate, or vibrate with. And then there's a lot of the light teachings that are really good. So I think the dark path, in some ways, is the more difficult path, the left-hand path, but really it's all just one path, whether you go left or right. As Curtis Joseph says, it's all one path. Always makes me think of the woods I used to go to. And we were just talking about that a minute ago, people not really having the time to sit and think about consciousness and think about all of these things. But I went to the woods for like 2 years at least. Almost every day, religiously meditated. No matter how cold it was, even if it was raining, downpouring, I would still go. I'd go in the snow. I was very determined at the time to access the inner secrets, the inner arcanum, or arcanum, however you want to pronounce that, of wisdom, the treasure house which lies within the heart of each and every one of us. Just for peace of mind, I'm going to go check on my son real quick. All right. Yeah, he's been taking a nap for a little while now, so that's kind of nice, actually. And children are really the greatest gift ever. It's a really humbling experience to have a child, and it's almost like it's hard to wrap your mind around it even when it does happen. He's already 9 months old, and they're such a gift, but it's a lot of work. It's a commitment, and takes up a lot of your time, but I wouldn't trade time with him for anything else. So it's one of those things. It's helping me grow as a person. It's helping me personally have to let go of a lot of things where my pride and ego might get in the way. I'm kind of an overprotective, righteous type sometimes, and like I said, I've just noticed how people are much different than me in some ways. A lot of people I know, even friends that I once hung out with, I've really had to change who I've kind of spent my time with, outside of my relationship, when I'm here at home with the kiddos. But people evolve, they move on, they move in different directions. So yeah, it is what it is. So I've been kind of craving to meet more like-minded people lately that kind of at least maybe live somewhat close. But we're all spread around the world, us people, us conscious, illuminated ones. And I don't say that out of pride. I say that because we all have the ability to do those things. We all have the ability to become something amazing, which is really our true selves, our highest self. Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. It really means doing what you're meant to do and doing what your higher will dictates, that which sees and knows, more, because it's a higher dimension. we can only perceive so much from, this so-called 3D matrix. So there is a lot going on. We did make it 10 minutes into this video, so I think we can talk about Hiram Abiff a little bit. Now, Hiram Abiff plays a significant role in the third degree of Freemasonry, the Master Mason degree. He's kind of the main character of the whole Masonic saga, or all of the lore, for the most part. King Solomon is pretty important too, but Hiram Abiff. So for those of you, if you haven't watched any of my other YouTube videos, particularly like Freemasonic videos, because I cover like Morals and Dogma and some of the other books, the Hiram Key, the information that I give on here, it's, I'm not going to give away any of the actual, secrets, the secrets of Freemasonry. It's not something that you can really even, divulge. It exists in the heart and soul of each and every man, or woman. There are women Freemasons. It's not a thing in Ohio, but I know that I don't know if even in the United States, but other countries, they have what's called, I don't know if it's called cooperative masonry. It's something similar to that, but it's like where men and women can join. So that's quite interesting. I think anyone who has a thirst or a knowledge for the mysteries and is willing to, allow themselves to be a servant of humanity, they want to do that. They want to better themselves. I think, people should have the opportunity to do that. But you just have to go, where that's how it works. So, as Manly P. Hall says, there's, I wonder if I can actually find that, because this is about the reinstitution of the mystery schools, worldwide. Maybe I did take the marker out. Yeah, I feel like I did maybe take that marker out, but there is a really good passage. And I know in my notes that I did mark the page, or I wrote the page down. Here we go. Here, I'll read this real quick. So this is like about the future. Sorry to get off the topic of Hiram Abiff real quick, but this is the ideal future that Manly P. Hall talks about in the Secret Teachings of All Ages. So according to the tenets of philosophy, the reestablishment or resurrection of the ancient mysteries will result in the rediscovery of that secret teaching without which civilization must continue in a state of spiritual confusion and uncertainty. I'm going to move this camera a little closer, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. Sometimes I get quiet when I'm reading a passage for some reason. When the mob governs, man is ruled by ignorance. When the church governs, he is ruled by superstition. And when the state governs, he is ruled by fear. Before men can live together in harmony and understanding, ignorance must be transmuted into wisdom, superstition into an illumined faith, and fear into love. Despite statements to the contrary, Masonry is a religion seeking to unite God and man by elevating its initiates to that level of consciousness whereon they can behold with clarified vision the workings of the great architect of the universe. Now, I have to say there, Masons today do not regard Masonry as a religion, because really it's not. It's just like the handmaiden to a religion. It's something that goes along with it. Masonry is going to help you become a better person in your religion, whatever your religion is. It accepts men of all faiths, Christians, Muslims, Jews. It's all about just having that common view of one supreme being. It's a universal school of wisdom. So I just want to get that out of there. From age to age, the vision of a perfect civilization is preserved as the ideal for mankind. In the midst of that civilization shall stand a mighty university wherein both the sacred and secular sciences concerning the mysteries of life will be freely taught to all who will assume the philosophic life. Here, creed and dogma will have no place. The superficial will be removed, and only the essential be preserved. The world will be ruled by its most illumined minds, and each will occupy the position for which he is most admirably fitted. The great university will be divided into grades, admission to which will be through preliminary tests or initiations. And we see this with, Freemasonry. There's different degrees. In the Golden Dawn, there's different grades, and usually after receiving your degree or your grade, you are tested on that. There's examinations. Here, mankind will be instructed in the most sacred, the most secret, and the most enduring of all mysteries, symbolism. Here, the initiate will be taught that every visible object, every abstract thought, every emotional reaction is but the symbol of an eternal principle. It's weird to sit here and think that even like my coffee cup, for instance, there's a meaning. There's like a cosmic meaning to all of the things that transpire. Even the physical objects have their correlation to other, realms of existence. They symbolize something. It's a physical manifestation of an archetype or an abstraction. More than an abstraction, really, but it exists on a higher plane. Every emotional reaction is but the symbol of an eternal principle. Here, mankind will learn that Hiram, or I don't know if they mean to say Chiram, truth, lies buried in every atom of cosmos, that every form is a symbol, and every symbol the tomb of an eternal verity. Through education, spiritual, mental, moral, and physical, man will learn to release living truths from their lifeless coverings. The perfect government of the earth must be patterned eventually after that divine government by which the universe is ordered. In that day, when perfect order is reestablished, with peace, universal and good triumphant, men will no longer seek for happiness, for they shall find it welling up within themselves. They won't have to seek it externally. Dead hopes, dead aspirations, dead virtues shall rise from their graves, and the spirit of beauty and goodness, repeatedly slain by ignorant men, shall again be the master of work. Then shall sages sit upon the seats of the mighty, and the gods walk with men. So that's pretty cool. That is the vision of the new Atlantis. That's really what this is all about. The total transmutation of manifesting heaven on earth. We're going to bring the real schools back. People will want to go to school. They'll want to learn, but they'll also have to be taught the responsibilities, that comes with such knowledge. And I think people who have really had, experiences, maybe with, like me, myself, I've had some experiences where, I just tried to manifest things in the wrong way. I did it in such a way that it didn't bring good outcomes. So sometimes you live and you learn, but we can help others, prevent them from making the same mistakes. I think that's one of the most important things. Some things just have to be experienced by the individual. I was one of those hard-headed people when I was young. Like, you couldn't just tell me something. Like, I had to go out and pretty much figure it out for myself. And learn the hard way sometimes. But it made me grow. It happened in such a way that I didn't end up losing myself. I'm still, who I truly am. I'm choosing. We have to make the choice to resonate with our higher selves. So yeah, we're getting close to 20 minutes now. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm really glad I decided to do this video. This is relaxing to me. This is fun. This is why I wish I had like a council of people, that are like-minded individuals, some real friends that are into this stuff. I can just sit and talk for hours on this, and it's really hard to find people, their conversations nowadays. I just can't hang out with people. I can't hang anymore because their viewpoints are so limiting, and even if they're open-minded people, just the things they choose to do, like what they do know. I know people who aren't necessarily like into esoteric research like I am,
a lot of people, but they're smart. I mean, they know what's going on. They're pretty awake. They realize that this reality is not, what it seems to be, and that we're in the illusion of Maya, but they still want to seem to keep playing in the illusion of Maya. And life is a gift. It's something for us to enjoy. We should enjoy being physical beings. This life has a lot to offer. But I see a lot of people expending and wasting their time in really fruitless ways, in my opinion. Now, that's my viewpoint. And there's been times where I've tried to express, how I really feel. And sometimes I just can't say how I really feel. I'm kind of harsh, I kind of expect a little bit more out of people sometimes. I try not to be judgmental, and especially if I don't know you, I'm not going to be judgmental. It's more some of the people I just like, as I learn more and more, or as I get disappointed, I'm like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? People have just bothered me multiple times. It's just, I start to question, why are you doing this? Why are you making my life difficult? Let's just all get along, and if we don't resonate, we don't resonate. That's fine. I can't, we can't force anybody's hand. We can't force anybody's hand. So I wish some people would choose differently. I wish they would choose smarter. I wish they would see the divine potential that's within them. They might see it partially, but they're still chasing the illusion. They still need that external sustenance. Of course, we all need food and we need certain things, but some people, I just don't know. I feel like the hunger never ends. And that's really one of the goals of the mysteries, is to, you have the death while you're alive, so you can resurrect the spiritual aspect of yourself. It's why man goes through another death, an initiation. It's like an ego death. It makes him take a step back and really think about things. So, since we kind of talked about that, the whole resurrection theme a little bit, let's get into Hiram Abiff notes. I'm going to go ahead and check on baby Raziel one more time. Just right here in the room. Yeah, still in the same spot. I can hear him from here if he starts crying, but I always like to make sure he's just okay, and I want to see him breathing. So Hiram Abiff. So like I said before, none of this is secret information. You can, even if you're a non-Mason, you can learn a lot about Freemasonry, and the lore and stuff, by just buying books, like Manly P. Hall and Albert Pike. There's a lot of good books out there. It's not just those two, but they have some of the best works. Albert Mackey's The Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, that's a great one. Even in that, there's amazing occult, and esoteric information. So Hiram Abiff. Oh, I also wanted to say, if you plan on becoming a Freemason and you have not gone through the Master Mason degree yet, and you want to be surprised, you want to go into it without, having any spoilers or anything, then maybe don't watch this video. Because I think the greatest effect happens in an initiation if you don't already know. See, I already knew about Hiram Abiff. I knew that was going to happen, before I received the degree, because I'd done so much research on Masonry. So I kind of knew what was coming in some ways. So if you want to be surprised and you don't want spoilers, don't watch the rest of this video. Wait till you become a Master Mason and then come back and watch this video. But if you don't mind learning a little bit and getting some spoilers, then let's go ahead and get into it. I do talk about Solomon a little bit here. Solomon is the name for the Supreme Light in 3 different languages. And so Hiram Abiff, they call him Hiram or Chiram. I don't know if that refers to like Chi, like Chiram, but they do it a lot. They do it. That's like his real name, apparently, is Hiram, Chiram. Hiram-Abiff of the Chaldees as a solar deity. Solomon appointed him deputy grand master in his presence and senior grand warden, master of the work and general overseer in his presence. So you had Solomon, you had Hiram, king of Tyre, and you had Hiram-Abiff. Those were the three main people, working on this temple. Well, Hiram-Abiff was the overseer. He was the master architect, the master builder of the Temple of Solomon. Hiram, king of Tyre, offered a lot of building tools, in the construction of the temple. The legends and lore describe ridiculous amounts of workmen. 3,600 princes or master masons, 80,000 hewers of stone or fellowcraft, and 70,000 laborers or entered apprentices. And this seems to vary depending on which version you read. I've seen different numbers. I feel like those are more symbolic, though. What's interesting is in the Hiram Key, they talk about, there's the myth. We've talked about this before, the myth of King Solomon's temple, which we've talked about the importance of myth before, versus literal history. The more literal history of it, they say his temple was really not any bigger than his own personal temple. It was a lot smaller, actually, and even smaller than the one he used to house his harem in. So, very interesting stuff. So I don't know if this grand temple was really a real thing, or if it was just based on, that temple. They say that King Solomon's temple was based on an ancient Sumerian temple in the Hiram Key, one of those older gods. So it's all just it goes back to, ancient Egypt, and then before that, ancient Sumer, and then before that, Atlantis, and then Lemuria and stuff before that. So it's all quite interesting. See, Hiram signifies my father, the universal spirit, one in essence, three in aspect. Thus, the murdered master is a type of a cosmic martyr, the crucified spirit of good, the dying God whose mystery is celebrated throughout the world. And that is the role that the candidate undergoes. He plays the part of this character, and that's how you go through, that is the death and resurrection of the spiritual life, or born into a new life, the Masonic version of it. Different mystery schools do this in different ways, and they have since the dawn of time. This is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. And you see this theme all the time with Jesus, and we'll talk about the similarities of them. We'll get to that at some point. I don't know if we'll get to that today. But it's always a martyr, somebody who's sacrificing themselves for the greater good at their own expense. They will not give up, what they truly stand for. And it's sad that people are so unwilling to stand up for principles and such anymore, that they don't have that kind of zeal and constancy anymore. It's crazy. You don't always have to literally sacrifice yourself. That's the extreme, sacrificing yourself for the good on that level. But we can all do our little parts, make little sacrifices, for what's best. See, Hiram consists of 3 consonants. Cheth signifies Chokmah, or no, not Chokmah, I guess. Chama, Chamah, the sun's light. The remainder of this paragraph on the structure of the world is on page 238. All great information. 33 symbolism here too. Let's see where that's at. 238. Here we go. Albert Pike, I'll just read from here. Albert Pike mentions several forms of the name See Hiram. Churm, or Kurum, and Kurum Om, the latter ending in the sacred Hindu monosyllable Om, which may also be extracted from the names of the 3 murders. These are the three murders that, kill Hiram. Pike further relates the three ruffians to a triad of stars in the constellation of Libra, and also calls attention to the fact that the Chaldean god Baal, who metamorphosed into a demon by the Jews, appears in the name of each of the murders. So each of these three murders has a little bit of Baal in the name. There's Jubala, Jubalo, and Jubalam. So they all have that Baal, Jubal in there. And all of this is zodiacal stuff. This is all constellations. These stories, these allegories, it's all about the star systems and different things. So it's truly a cosmic story, a cosmic legend. To interpret the Hiramic legend, that's funny, I just used the word legend, requires familiarity with both the Pythagorean and Kabbalistic systems of numbers and letters, and also the philosophic and astronomic cycles of the Egyptians, Chaldeans, I don't know if it's Chaldeans or Chaldeans, and Brahmins. For example, consider the number 33. The first temple of Solomon stood for 33 years in its pristine splendor. At the end of that time, it was pillaged by the Egyptian king Shishak, and finally it was completely destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, and the people of Jerusalem were led into captivity to Babylon. It says it was destroyed in 588 BC. Also, King David ruled for 33 years in Jerusalem. So you continuously see, we've talked about this before, I think, on here, the number 33. Could probably do a whole video on just the number 33. The Masonic order is divided into 33 symbolic degrees in the Scottish Rite branch. There are 33 segments in the human spinal column, and Jesus was crucified in the 33rd year of his life. Of course, this Hiramic legend, it's all based on older stuff, like it says here, based upon the Egyptians' rites of Osiris, whose death and resurrection figuratively portrayed the spiritual death of man and his regeneration through initiation into the mysteries. He's also Hiram, or Hiram, is also identified with Hermes through the inscription on the Emerald Tablet. So, yeah, a lot of cool information. So yeah, I wrote that in my notes. Hiram connected with, or based upon the Egyptian rites of Osiris, regeneration through initiation into the mysteries. Hiram is also identified with Hermes and connected with the Emerald Tablet, like we just said. And the Emerald Tablet, that's a whole topic on its own. I've done a couple videos on Thoth. That's something we could go into more if you guys want it as well. There's just so much to cover. It's insane. I don't know how people say they're bored. Sometimes you get in the mood where you're just not, motivated. You just don't feel like doing anything, but there's always stuff to do. There's always things to learn. So, we just hit 33 minutes too. Awesome. Hiram, or Hiram, is a prototype for humanity, Plato's ideal archetype, and through resurrection symbolizes the idea of human regeneration. After the fall of Adam and Eve, the fall symbolizes the idea of human degeneration. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and just end this video. I'm sure baby Raziel will probably be waking up soon. So, but yeah, 33, 37 just hit. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this channel, for wanting to learn, about these things, and we can all grow so much. It's crazy because I see this world that could potentially exist, and I even see that potential within all the people on this planet, but they just can't see it themselves yet. They're so confused, they're so lost. So we have to try to be the good shepherds, and at least those who are not going to consciously make the effort to become sovereign themselves and learn things, we have to help guide them in the right direction. Because the idea is that at the end of the day, every man and woman will be the king and queen of their own temple. We're all sovereign beings, truly. Yet we are all one, and we are all interconnected. As comfortable or uncomfortable as that may be sometimes. So it's hard to think, even the people we don't like, the people that make us uncomfortable, they represent a hidden aspect of ourselves. So maybe instead of trying to condemn them, we should try to figure them out somewhat. Maybe I should take my own advice. So, all right, guys. So, peace, love, and prosperity, as always. May harm come to none, and may good come unto all. Peace and blessings. Until next time, hopefully sooner rather than later.